Today, we're going to talk about how lowering our expectations might actually increase compliance and get us farther in the long run. I'm not saying that we always lower expectations. I'm not saying long term we lower expectations, but how momentarily it might be better for us. Let's learn all about it. Welcome to the Autism Diagnosis to Confident Mom podcast with Kira from Kira Brown Coaching. I'm a mom of neurospicy kids and a life coach. I'm here to share real tips and support to help you feel confident as a parent. So this week at work, we had a behavioral specialist come in. I don't know if you know this, but I work 3 days a week in a room with autistic kiddos and ADHD kiddos at the elementary school in our local area. And we had a behavioral specialist come in, and she said some things that blew my mind, and I just want to share them with you because they are helping me, and I am still wrapping my head around it, but I'm going to share what I understood. And then as we learn more, maybe we'll do another podcast about it. But she said that we have to meet kids where they are, which I understand. I thought I understood, right? Like if they're behind on their school level, then we need to drop those expectations. But she took it to a whole nother level, not just their academic level, but where are they frustration level wise? Where is their frustration level at? What can they do in the moment? So she talked about how with autistic and ADHD kiddos, they have all these other things going on that neurotypical kiddos don't have going on. They have sensory issues, they have social demands, they have all of these things, right? And if all of those things are going right, then they can hit their academic goal at a high level. But if those things are not aligned just right, then we need to drop the level that we're working at them with, and we need to set them up for success so they learn that they can be successful. So we have a little boy in our classroom, and he is smart. He is on grade level, but she started working with him below grade level. And he went from not wanting to work at all to working all day long with breaks in between his work. And by breaks, I mean he got a sensory event for 5 minutes, and then he came back and did some more work. So in the long run, lowering expectations might get us the results that we want faster. If we're always trying to pull our child's levels up, whether those be social, emotional, academic levels, if we're trying to pull them up higher than where they are right now, we're stretching them, which they do need stretched sometimes. But if they're always being stretched and they cannot reach the level they're trying to accomplish, they're going to feel like they're failures. They're going to feel like they can't do those things. And then why try? If things are hard for you, do you want to do them? Do you try things that you think are too hard for you to do? I know I don't. Let me give you an example of this. So I earlier this year had a goal to start lifting weights, and I did for a while, and then summer hit and all my kids were home and I quit lifting weights, and school has been back in for almost half of a school year now, and I'm not back to lifting weights. And so I was like, okay, I need to lift weights. But instead of jumping back in where I was at in May, I started an easier program, and I started off a weight amount that I thought would be ridiculously easy. And because it's ridiculously easy, I'm more willing to go do it. So now I set a goal to work out 2 days a week, which is not what I was doing before. I was working out 4. It was something I felt like I could do. I could do 2 days a week and I could lift 10 pounds. Not a lot of weight, but because I lowered my expectations, it got me started on the process. If I had jumped in back at 25 pounds and 4 days a week, I would make myself so sore that I never wanted to lift weights again. I would get discouraged and quit. And it's the same way with our neurotypical kiddos. We need to meet them where they're at. Maybe drop the level a little bit. What does it even mean to meet them where they're at? Let's talk about their regulation level. Are they regulated? We've talked about this before. If they're not regulated, they're not going to be able to visit with us about things. So we need to co-regulate first. We're dropping the expectation of them being able to communicate, and verbally anyways, and we are going to co-regulate with them, and then maybe we even drop the level of expectation on how we expect them to communicate. Maybe we use visuals, maybe we have them point, maybe we read their body language. We lower those expectations momentarily and we praise them for communicating with us when they are having a hard time. How about developmentally, or where are they developmentally versus other kiddos their age? Did you know that the average neurodiverse kiddo is 1/3 of their age emotionally and socially? Think about that. If you have a 9-year-old, that means they are emotionally and socially at a 6-year-old's level. Okay, some are going to be more, some are going to be less, but on average, that's where they're at. That's the difference between a 3rd grader and a kindergartner. Do you expect too much out of your kiddo? And this is okay. It's okay. They're just wired differently and they learn differently, and it comes differently than it does for other kiddos, and that's okay. But can we lower our expectations on their emotional and social development? This might look like being more patient and giving more reminders. I know for me, I get silently frustrated that I have to tell my child every day, my 8-year-old, to brush his teeth every day. But if I think of him as a kindergartner, then that doesn't frustrate me so much, because I don't expect kindergartners to just automatically brush their teeth every day. And the capacity in the moment, and that's kind of that frustration level that we talked about. But where are they in the moment? Where is their frustration level? What's going on? Are the lights bright? Is it too loud? Is it the tag bugging them in their shirt? Are they hungry? Are they tired? All of these things affect how well they can do things. So let's do things to their current capacity and not what we need to get done or in a hurry to do or what we expect them to do. So this might mean we cancel a social outing because they can't handle it today. This might mean we don't do schoolwork on grade level, but we drop it. Some of the examples that I use, and this is a 1st grade level, so just remember that, but instead of adding to 20, we added to 10. Instead of reading words with the silent E on the end, we just read consonant, vowel, consonant, 3-letter words. So we dropped down a level so that we could reach where they're at. And then once they get that and they get feeling confident that they can do it, then we can work it back up to where they need to be. Something that helps me too is to remember it's to replace they won't with they can't right now. It's not that they won't ever read, they can't right now. They won't ever follow directions, they can't right now. They're dysregulated. That helps me a lot too. And what we could do yesterday isn't necessarily what we can do today. So it changes from day to day, from moment to moment. Look at the data. Where are they at right now? Another area that I see this in our lives is dress-up days at school. So on a typical day, my son gets up, eats breakfast, puts his clothes on, wears his dirty socks from yesterday, and then I have to remind him to brush his teeth and do his hair. That's our routine. That's what we've gotten down so far, okay? Well, school has dress-up days. Those are different. We cannot do that routine. It doesn't work. So we have to lower the expectations. I get him up earlier because I know we're going to have meltdowns because something on the outfit is not like he wants it. I know that I might have to help him get dressed. I might have to remind him to eat his breakfast. I might have to do his hair for him. We lower the expectations for the moment that he's in. Is it like this every day? No. Is it going to be like this tomorrow? Probably not, unless it's another dress-up day. But I can meet him in the moment where we're at. Another example is he had a Christmas concert, choir concert. And before the concert, he was anxious about what he had to wear. He didn't want to wear the Christmas sweater that I had for him. He only had his snow boots with him, or he had his snow boots on. I guess he had his other shoes in his backpack, but because of where we live, we don't go home between school and school concerts. We go eat at McDonald's, and then because he'll eat McDonald's usually, and then we have him change in the bathroom. And he was pretty dysregulated. He was pretty upset. He couldn't decide what kind of drink he wanted. And my normal tricks didn't work. Like usually I'm like, oh, you want root beer? And he's like, no. Do you want Coke? And he's like, yes. But he couldn't handle that. He didn't know. It was too much. It was too overwhelming. He couldn't make a decision. And so we were having some frustrations a little bit before. And we got to the school, and he did great during the concert. Luckily, the whole second grade was a little rowdy, so his little bit of rowdiness didn't stand out. And then after the concert, we were a little dysregulated again. There were a lot of people leaving the building quickly. There was change of plans, just different things going on, and he was getting dysregulated again. And so I met him where he's at. Instead of being like, sit in the car, buckled for an hour on the way home without talking, I said, let's listen to our audiobook, because an audiobook calms his nervous system. And so we listened to an audiobook. I met him where he was at. Does that mean he can't ride in my car without an audiobook every time? No. He does great sometimes with music. He does great sometimes with silence. He does great sometimes visiting with his sisters and parents. But after the concert, He needed lower expectations, and visiting was not one of them. And so we put on an audiobook. I put it on because I knew it would help regulate him and he would enjoy it. So it didn't demand him to be social. It didn't demand him to do other things. We didn't go get ice cream right after to celebrate because I knew he wasn't in a place to be there. So meet your kiddos where they're at. In the long run, you'll get where you want to go faster. They'll learn that they can do stuff. They'll learn how to regulate. They'll learn that they can do things at school, that they're smart. They'll learn that they can manage their emotions. They'll learn that they can ask for help. But if we lower the expectations and alter what we need when they need it, we set them up for success instead of for their failure. Keep up the good work, Mama. You're doing better than you think. Thanks so much for listening to Autism Diagnosis to Confident Mom. If this episode helped you feel a little more seen or supported, please take a moment to like, follow, or subscribe to the podcast. And if you know another parent who needs to hear this, share it with them too. We're all in this together. You're doing better than you think, Mama. You've got this.